crops are about as good as usual. But the cotton prices dropped from in the 20s up as high as 25 or better cents a pound. In 1 year, they dropped down to 15 cents a pound.
What year was it?
That was in 1931 or about then. My daddy had 6 bales of cotton that he put in the storage and didn't sell at 15 cents, thinking it'd be higher next year, back up to the 20s or better. And of course, Uncle Connor had several bales that he didn't sell that year, and they put it in storage. And later, when they did sell it, they got 5 cents a pound for the cotton. About 3 years or so later, after holding it 3 years, it wasn't costing them anything to hold it, except it was rotting and under the shed and just in storage. But the year my mother died, she had 75 turkeys, and as far as the money goes, it had got down to where they're just barely making ends meet as far as living goes. But when her turkeys was sold, that more than paid for her funeral. They got about $1 a head out of the turkeys. And Mr. Harris, I believe, built her coffin. And when she was put in the grave at Coon Hill Cemetery, she had a wood coffin. And
your mother was
Jessie Orr Stedham Enfinger, and she was 30 years old the year she died. And the baby sister was born that year. But
your
daddy was born in, and he was born in 96, and he would have been 6 and 31. He'd have been Daddy would have been 37 years old, I believe. Mother was 30. Is that right?
So she died real young.
She did. She died young. I guess they were married. She was probably 18. She was married in Bruton, Alabama, and I don't know, in 1919, but I don't know the month. And Leon was born in September of 1921. Yeah. And I was born in March of 1922, the 6th of March.
Your dad was Lewis, right?
Lewis Thompson Enfinger. And he was a World War I veteran. He was on the ship, booked to go to Europe to be in the war. And the armistice was signed at Charleston, South Carolina. And the ship never did leave the harbor. They unloaded them one day and offloaded them the next.
His mom and dad were who?
It was Peter David Enfinger and Margaret Campbell Enfinger. Margaret Campbell was her maiden name.
Oh no, we knew her as Aunt Mag, right?
Aunt Mag. I'm calling it Margaret. It may have been Marguerite. And I forget her the name now. Yeah, that was, and it was Grandma Enfinger and Aunt Desi, your grandmother, that went up for Laverne in Detroit when Aunt Elo died.
And then who raised him?
Uncle Duke Howell and Aunt Ida, Grandma Enfinger's sister. Uncle Duke Howell, he was from Lumberton, North Carolina, best I recall. And the Howell family up there where they were raised at, where the older folks was, Mr. Harry and your mother's daddy and them, there used to be a post office there. Were you aware of that?
Yes, Howell was the name of it.
Yeah, Howell Post Office. But that was in the census that Glory took back in 1960, showing the old landmarks and that. Well, Vic, I guess that's about all of it for right now. We need to start some other time.
Well, we got a lot to cover.
Well, there's a lot to cover as far as my experience in the Navy and having been up to Iceland and Greenland and I didn't know exactly the missions, but it had something to do with the danger that we were in as far as the war in Europe goes, in England. England was about to go under back at that time. And well, I'm forgetting too much to say too much now about that.
Okay, well, that's Floyd Enfinger, and it's April. What's the date? Today's date.
Today's the 15th.
15th? 16th. April 16th. Is it the 15th? 15th or 16th? 2012.
16th, day 16th.
Yeah. Well, it's Vic Campbell and Floyd Enfinger. We're in my car right now, riding over to the VFW. We're going to get us a hamburger. I'm not talking on the phone. I'm talking on a tape recorder. Okay, that's the end of that. We'll stop it here.
You done told on yourself on the phone.